Hola, you amazing artist, and welcome to the studio. Today, I want to talk about 5 struggles that you're going to go through as you're doing this art career thing.
Till I break his arm off.
No! The humanity! Oh.
I want to talk about the 5 that really are going to be the thing that's going to be the roadblock that can make or break you depending on what your perspective is in doing this whole art career thing. Okay, so the first one is obviously financial instability. As an artist, there is no paycheck at the end of the week or at the end of the month. You basically are going to be making money dependent on how much you're able to put yourself out there, how long you've been putting yourself out there, how much you've established a connection with collectors. They're not only your collectors, but they're your friends, and you're the first person that they think of when they're thinking of art. Even then, there is absolutely no financial stability. And the thing about it is that you have to get really comfortable being uncomfortable in that area. You really have to prepare for that kind of living, right? You got to get out of that mindset of living check to check, and all that bullshit. You have to really plan ahead if you're planning on doing this full time. The truth is that if you're in the job market, there's no real stability there as well, because you could get laid off, you could get fired, they could downsize. There just isn't that perceived idea of a stable job. It just doesn't work that way, and it hasn't worked that way in a very long time. And in fact, I would say that it's never worked that way. Your perspective has to be one that doesn't get you in that place where you're making choices out of desperation. The fact of the matter is that desperation just makes us really dumb. We make some dumb choices that don't follow the life that we want to live and can put us in really awkward and weird situations. What Clea and I have done over the years is take a look at those moments where things are not financially flowing the way that we want them to, and really seeing it as the challenge that it is how can I change my mindset, my perspective, where I am still allowing myself to feel empowerment in this moment instead of feeling victimized by this or that. Honestly, it's a work in progress, and it will always be a work in progress, but it's one of those things where you just kind of become aware of how you're feeling and understand that you do have control over the way that you feel and the way that you think, instead of just falling into that perspective of like, oh no, woe is me, I don't know what I'm going to do. And and obviously, like I said, this is different for everyone because it all depends on where you're at. Clea and I try to keep our bills extremely low so that it's not a big thing. And we have a financial system in place that I wrote about in my book.
You're welcome.
But of course, we've been doing this for 10 years, and that's a system that is tweaked and been tweaked. And the same way when you have a job, trick ourselves into feeling a sense of security. That's basically the best way to approach this one, at least for us. You have to figure out you. You got to do you. The other struggle is recognition and exposure. Getting recognition, getting exposure. That is the biggest struggle that you're going to face, especially when you get started, is the fact that you're going to put your stuff out there. Let's say you take that risk and you put your stuff out there and no one is going to pay attention. Some people will. Sometimes you go to a show and you're in the right place and you've attracted the right people to you, and people that are like-minded are going to find you. A lot of people want quick fame, right? They want to become insta famous and all that bullshit. And the truth of the matter is it takes one. You're going to build a genuine relationship with your collector, one person at a time, which means the more shows you do, the more you put yourself out there, the more you give people the opportunity to find you, the more that you genuinely do what you're doing and show it out in the world, whether it's doing local festivals or a festival circuit. Showing in person is always the best way. And I know that for a lot of artists, you feel introverted and you're like, I don't like talking about my art and all this stuff. And you have all these stories that you tell yourself about how hard it is, and you basically set up your own hurdle. Art is a very personal thing. Every work of art that you create, there is one person out there that work already belongs to, and it is your job as an artist to not only create the art, but to find a way to put it out there to give that person the opportunity to find it. While you're doing it in person, build up that online thing of putting yourself out there as well. So do them both. It's a 1-2 punch. Don't just rely on one or the other, and don't hide behind a keyboard, because that's not going to help people develop a relationship with you. And really, people buy artwork from people that they like. That's the truth. The other struggle that you're going to run into most definitely, and it's something that is just always there, is self-doubt. There are so many things that affect me that, when I get into the studio, I don't want to, you run into creative block or something like that. And I have a billion ideas. There's never going to be an end to what it is that I want to create and what's the new thing that I want to experiment with and get out there. But the truth of the matter is that like sometimes life hits, self-doubt hits. Anytime that I go to do something new that I've never done before, I am riddled with self-doubt and imposter syndrome every single time. I know that that's my own doubts, right? Even if somebody comes out of the woodwork and is like, you can't do that because that's not any good. I have a very like F you mentality when it comes to that. And I do the same thing with my own thoughts. It's like, don't tell me that I can't do this thing simply because I don't know how yet. I'm never going to learn how to do this thing unless I actually do it. And I've had situations where like my knees are shaking. I am terrified. I try to quit like 50 times before I do the thing, and then I just go through with the thing because that's the only way to show myself that I am capable and that I can be confident in this area. Self-doubt is a big one, and it's not one and done, you guys. It's not going to just go away. You're going to face self-doubt every single time you are trying something new in your art career, which is important because as you're doing this art thing, you're going to want to evolve and grow, and you got to push outside of those comfort zones. If you want your life to grow and your art career to grow, you're going to have to do things that you've never done before. And when you do those things, you're going to be scared. One of the other challenges that as artists you're going to face is that idea behind commercial viability of the art, right? The things that are popular. For example, when I was in Pensacola, the thing that was popular were like touristy, like beach art, right? Those were the things that people were buying for their condos and stuff. And when I first started, a lot of the artists in the area were like, you're going to want to do this because this is what sells. I realized that like after doing a few of them that I was like, it's fine. I could do this, but I'd only be doing this for the money. I come from a perspective, I think, because I left corporate, I left that world behind of like doing things simply for making money, that I'm like, if I go to do that, then I'm going to turn my art career into like my corporate job. For that, I might as well go work with for somebody else where I could just leave that job at the door, because I was very focused on not turning this thing that I love doing into work, which is very easy to do. And really a lot of the advice and stuff that I hear out there, it really does turn your hobby into a job thing. Never been a big fan of that. I don't want to turn this into work. I don't want to turn it into something that I don't even feel like getting in the studio because it just feels like a job. You're going to have these things that are going to be able to make some quick money. And then you're going to have these things that have to build a reputation, right? These are your new things. They haven't been seen out there. Nobody's doing them. It's something that you love to do, or it's your way of expressing yourself. And it's going to take a while to build that up. Every single thing that is popular is taking a while to build it up. And it could take years and years long term. Like, all right, so if I do this, am I going to enjoy this long term? I could do this now, and then later I could do this other thing. That usually never works out. Just want to let you know, if you do it now, chances are later you're going to be locked into doing that other thing that you hate, and now you've turned your career into a shithole. So don't do that. And finally, the last thing is artistic isolation and loneliness. All right, you guys. So whatever kind of creative you are, usually the creative process means that it's a lot of time alone spending, creating things. And when it comes to like loneliness, I've realized a lot that like in my own life, sometimes I was surrounded by people and still felt lonely, especially when you're surrounded by friends that don't understand what you're doing. It's like you have to make that choice of like, I am going to spend some time alone working on my art. Nobody else could be there because they're going to distract me because they don't understand what it is that I'm doing. And like it could lead to a lot of stuff. And I would say that when it comes to that, even if Clee wasn't here, I would take a look at the local artist community, take a look at workshops that are going on, different things like that, online communities of artists. Like we have the Rogue Artist community. It's artists from all over the world. They're effing awesome. That being said, you also want to do the same thing that you would do with finances, which is like, don't do it out of desperation, right? there's always unfortunate results when you are feeling lonely and desperate to make a connection. Connect with people, but also be very picky. Remember, there are billions of people on the planet. Like, you're going to want to connect. And right now with the internet, you can connect with people from around the world. There's no limitation to how many people you could connect with in your studio, but you got to be willing to put yourself out there. That's the big thing. You got to be willing to put yourself out there. When we were doing shows and festivals, like, we met so many artists, we made so many friends. And like, that's the thing. It's like, the act of creating the art could feel lonely, and it is a solitary thing, but the act of putting the artwork out there is a very social thing. So that's why I think it's important to embrace both of those areas, putting it out there and, embrace your alone time, your creative time, your me time, and embrace your out there time. I don't know if that's what it's called. And that's it, you guys. Those are the 5 struggles that I could think of off the top of my head that are the things that like just kind of stay with you throughout your art career. And I wanted to discuss them here and just how it is that we deal with them. It's still a work in progress. It will always be a work in progress. Let's be honest. This is something that you got to figure out your own way. Sure, I spit out a bunch of words about how we deal with it, but at the end of the day, you got to do you. You got to figure out you. Your way is the best way for you because, nobody's walking in your shoes. Nobody can tell you what to do. It's your life. You do what you want to do. And I'm curious to know, you guys, what kind of struggles, I did a list of 5 because I didn't want to, I knew I was going to ramble and talk about stuff. So I know that there's a bunch of other struggles. So if there is a struggle in particular that you'd like to shine a light on and, let our awesome artist community here on YouTube fill them in on best practices and how to deal with them, go ahead and leave that in the comment section below. And thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are absolutely freaking amazing. I totally adore you. And if you like this and you want to watch more like this, just click right over here to subscribe. And that's it. I will talk to you later. Adios.